Hello and good morning to all of you. My name is Mark Dorsett and I am the student pastor here at the beautiful Christabelle Spiritualist Church in Cherry Valley, Illinois. I hope that you are all doing well on this beautiful Sunday morning. Now, before I get into our Declaration of Principles and our invocation, I do have a polite request for all of you. We are in need of someone who could, if possible, do it for free or for a reduced fee. If there is someone out there who would be able to plow our parking area and also to shovel the walks for us, it would be amazingly appreciated. We do have high hopes that in the next few weeks we are going to be able to return to in-person services here. The way that the Region 1 COVID numbers are going, there's a good chance that we will safely be able to return to in-person services, and we would like to have things ready for all of you. And we would greatly appreciate that. Otherwise, if you could, we are still in need of a little extra assistance for our electrical work that is going to be done here to help make sure that we have consistent electrical here so that we can have wonderful sermons all the time. If you could please see your way clear to add to our virtual offering plate that will be linked at the bottom of this sermon, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Okay, pledge break portion over. Let me begin our service officially with the reading of our invocation, followed by the reading of our Declaration of Principles. Please bow your heads in a virtual fashion, and I will begin. Infinite intelligence, as we accept that which is given freely out of love and dedication, we give thanks for our continued abundance, both material and spiritual. We ask a blessing on the givers, that they may be rewarded many times for their selfless generosity. In the same spirit, we dedicate the use of these gifts for only the highest and the best, and will use them wisely for the benefit of this church and for all humanity. Amen. Our Declaration of Principles. If you know them, please feel free to follow along at home. Otherwise, you can find those Declaration of Principles on our church Facebook page, on the Christabelle Spiritualist Church website, or on the National Spiritualist Association of Churches website. Allow me to begin. We believe in infinite intelligence. We believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. We affirm that a correct understanding of such expression and living in accordance therewith constitute true religion. We affirm that the existence and personal identity of the individual continue after the change called death. We affirm that communication with the so-called dead is a fact scientifically proven by the phenomena of spiritualism. We believe that the highest morality is contained in the Golden Rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We affirm the moral responsibility of individuals and that we make our own happiness or unhappiness as we obey or disobey nature's physical and spiritual laws. We affirm that the doorway to reformation is never closed against any soul here or hereafter. We affirm that the precepts of prophecy and healing are divine attributes proven through mediumship. And I am greatly looking forward to us being allowed to do that again in person. So, is everybody awake out there today? Are you well caffeinated? I have a pretty involved sermon to present today, and I am hoping that this will still be interesting for all of you. As I have spoken about previously, I allow Spirit to provide me with the topics for my sermons. I mean, after all, isn't infinite intelligence far more wise than any of us? Spirit was quite adamant today that I present this sermon for you. And I've learned over the years that there's always a reason. When I am asked to do something with this much energy behind it, Spirit has a reason for it. There's always a purpose. Especially when it seems like this is going to be a bit more of a challenging sermon today. I really am hoping that I can convey all this information in a very nice, easy to understand package. I see a few of you look a little nervous out there right now. Okay, how about this? We are in for a sermon that may cause you to think about your path in life in ways that you just hadn't necessarily considered before. Does that seem a little bit gentler, a little bit easier to kind of accept this early in the morning? Or at least for me, it's kind of early in the morning. After all, really, isn't that what we spiritualists are about? We love to question things. We love to investigate and to make our own determination. That is such a large part of spiritualism, after all. The fact that we get to investigate and decide for ourselves whether something makes sense to us on a deeper level. So in other words, it's time for a road trip. Please keep your hands and feet inside the car at all times. Ensure that you are tightly buckled up. And if you're ready, we shall begin our jaunt down that wild road that we call life, shall we? So, now that we're cruising along, I have a question for you. What side of the debate are you on? Which debate am I talking about? Oh, no, not that debate. I forgot. Sometimes I forget that my thoughts are in here, but you are all out there. I'm sure my wife, Deb, can relate to that. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm actually referring to the debate that rages between those people who are strict proponents of free will, and I talked about that a few weeks ago, but I think you understand what I mean, and also about those people who believe very strongly in predeterminism. Yep, predeterminism. Wow, is it just me, or did I sound very pretentious for a moment there? One more time, with feeling. Predeterminism. How many of you out there in virtual congregation land are familiar with that term? Okay, not very many of you. How do I want to explain this? There is an entire school of thought that is based around the belief that everything that you do while you are here on this earthly plane of existence has already been decided before you come down here. Now, when taken to the nth degree, predeterminism is the concept that when we take on our physical form here on earth, all of our thoughts, feelings, actions, everything has already been planned out for us while we were still in spirit. So if you want to think of it this way, this is one way to look at it. That pack of gum that you picked up on a whim, just kind of grabbed off at the checkout line. Yeah, according to predeterminism, you already decided to do that before you even picked out your fleshy physical body and jumped in to start this wild ride that we call life. So imagine that. You plan in spirit that on a Thursday afternoon at 4:27, you decide to grab a pack of gum. It's not anything that you initiate, any thought process that you initiate immediately. Now, this really means that essentially we are all just going through the motions like marionettes without any free will decisions being made during our time on earth here. We're all kind of stuck on cruise control, if you will, and have no say in the outcome of our lives while we are here. Now, one more way of thinking of predeterminism is to look at it this way. For those of you who have been lucky enough to visit Walt Disney World, it's kind of like being on the test track ride at Epcot. You jump into the car with some of your closest friends, you get all buckled up, and off you go. Whee! Aren't we having fun? You're riding along with no say on where you're going. You just kind of have to go with that illusion that you're in control of where the car is going while you're just a passenger. Nothing you say, do, or think about doing is going to change the speed or direction of where the car is going because Every thought, word, action that you've ever had while you're in this physical incarnation has already been put into place for you. The actual engineering or driving or route decisions that went into the ride of your life were completely figured out before you even strapped in. You and your guides already made those decisions back in Summerland. So now you just have to sit back and enjoy the ride. You are essentially an organic crash test dummy. Anybody else remember those commercials from the 80s? Those goofy commercials with those guys to try and get you to buckle up? Anyway. Ooh. I'm getting a few looks out there in virtual congregation land that make me think that a few of you are not big proponents of predeterminism. I have to agree that as a spiritualist, it can be challenging to think that we're just sitting on cruise control while we inhabit these organic crash test dummies. Now, I'm sure you would much rather grab the wheel and, grab for the stick shift. After all, we are quite an independent group, right? I mean, that is what us spiritualists are kind of known for, is being a very independent group that are all brought together by the love and search for spiritualist truth. Okay, switching gears for just a moment here. How about I offer up an alternative frame of reference for each of you? Let me say that again, because I just kind of twisted that word a little bit. How about I offer up an alternative frame of reference for each of you? I won't be going into as much detail here on this one because I already spoke about it recently in our church's All the Different sermon, but I will go into a brief refresher on the concept of free will, or priceless purpose, for those of you who caught that sermon. Quick tangent or snack stop, if you will, on our road trip that is this sermon. I know I bring up previous sermons quite a bit, but I do so because Spirit has helped me to dovetail all of our Christabelle Spiritualist Church sermons into various lessons for each of us. In other words, most of my sermons are connected in one way or another. The reason that I keep bringing up and referencing all these other sermons is so that if you are in need of more information, about a specific topic that has already been covered, then you can go and easily find it by looking up that particular sermon. Okay, so everybody make a pit stop. You all have plenty of unhealthy snacks and sugary drinks to kind of carry you through the rest of our road trip or sermon today. Great, buckle up, because here we go. Much like with predeterminism, when taken to its extreme, free will essentially means that everything that we do in life is the result of the choices we make in the moment. The pack of gum that you bought earlier, instead of being something that had been planned out while you were still in Summerland, it now becomes something that you looked at and bought with no previous thought whatsoever. Or if you want to look at it this way, as opposed to driving down the test track at Epcot, it's like being a teenager who's just kind of cruising the streets with no particular destination in mind other than maybe a vague idea in the back of your thoughts. Everything that you are doing is on a whim in the moment. Man, do you remember those days? Anybody else remember that? I mean, cheap gas and plenty of free time to just cruise with your friends. Those were the days, right? Anyway, again, I am taking this analogy basically from the sublime to the ridiculous by pushing it as far in the opposite direction from predeterminism. While predeterminism and free will are both very interesting concepts, it's been my experience, as well as what Spirit has informed me of, that neither of those concepts are truly offering the level of experiential learning that is necessary for each of us to learn, grow, strive, and thrive. So really, it just sort of makes sense to me that being a spiritualist, that the answer would come down to balance, don't you think? I mean, if we're going to go for a ride here on Earth with no say on where the ride takes us, it's definitely an experience, but not necessarily one in which we've truly learned and grown from. So predeterminism on its own isn't necessarily going to help us reconnect our spirit. That's right. I snuck another sermon in there. Free will, on the other hand, with absolutely no predeterminism, is just a scenic drive with no destination. I mean, it can be a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, but you don't really get anywhere, especially anywhere important, without a destination in mind. Okay, so are all of my virtual congregation passengers following me? I haven't lost anybody by the side of the road yet, have I? If I have, please get in touch with me and I will be your Spiritualist AAA to give you a lift to our destination today. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I was talking about balance. Yep, that's right. It all comes down to that every time, doesn't it? I'm telling you that A.J. Davis had an amazing guide in Galen because his advice still holds true for all of us all these years later. In all things, keep an even mind. Now, if you think about that for a moment, every second of every minute of every day, if that was all planned out for us already, why would we even need our spirit guides with us while we are here on earth? Made you think. By the same token, why would we need our own spiritual version of Google Maps if we didn't bother to plan our trips here on earth before we incarnate? I mean, if we're just on a joyride with our physical bodies without really focusing on any learning or growth or any of that, then there's no reason for us to have that higher guidance with us to help us on our life paths. Everybody with me so far? Kind of looks like it. Okay, so good. This is the part, my dear virtual congregation passengers, where things get a bit more interesting and scenic on our drive today. Just because we have a destination in mind does not mean that we cannot enjoy the scenery on the way. Again, it has been my experience, and really everything that I talk about up here on this platform does come from my own experience, that while, yes, we do outline our lives before we incarnate here, we also allow a lot of free will decisions on our road trip. Continuing with our analogy, imagine you're planning a road trip of a lifetime, literally. You would like to visit or experience all sorts of destinations on your trip, and you want to make the most of it. Because of this, you have specific goals in mind for your trip, and you plan in various stops or experiences along the way, and in order to make sure that you don't miss out on all of these different experiences. So at the same time you do that, you want to plan for some flexibility so that you can enjoy any happy accidents that come along or any unexpected off-ramps on your journey. So you do that because if your trip is so rigidly structured that there is no room in your itinerary for you to take an off-ramp, you will miss out on some of the best free will experiences that you could possibly have. It is some of those free will detours that provide some of the best learning, but also some of the most fun. So, to put it quite plainly, I know I never do that. I'm standing here today to tell you that Spirit wants you to understand that while, yes, we do outline our lives before we come down here, that we have a plan in place for our learning and growth, we are also granted the free will to, as Spiritualist principle number 7 tells us, create our own happiness or unhappiness by the errors that we make. That's right, my dear friends. That has made all the difference. So why didn't I just tell you that at the very beginning, right? What would be the fun in that? We get to go on a road trip today. So now here's where we get to how we can use this outline in our life as a tool for learning and growth, or our own itinerary that we plan for our road trip of life. How many of you can think back to times in your life where you decided to go in a certain direction and everything just flowed smoothly and easily and just kind of allowed you to take that path without any stress and any real worry? Yes, we've all had those moments. Yes, I do recognize that for a lot of us, some of those moments may be few and far between. But I do think that is an experience that we can all relate to. When everything just flows and everything just falls right into place and it's even and it's balanced and it's beautiful. Life is easy then. Those are the times when, things work. But now I want you to think back for a second to those times where you tried to go in a different direction and everything just kind of fell apart in your life, or maybe life just felt like it ground to a halt. Here's what was happening. As we all go down the road that is our life path, we are making free will decisions all the time that help us move along. Sometimes we decide that we need to take an off-ramp on our road, and it happens to be an off-ramp that points us in the direction that we had already planned for ourselves. Yay! In that case, everything just sort of falls into place and goes smoothly. Kind of like a freshly paved road with no traffic. It's a beautiful thing. Other times, we decide to try and get off the road that we are on, but there may not even be an off-ramp there. So what happens then is you are essentially just kind of driving into the guardrail. You're just kind of driving into the guardrail on your life path, and until you get the message that you're not supposed to head that way, all you're doing is causing yourself a headache, because all you're doing is driving into the corner that you're not supposed to go in. Even in the off chance that you do make it off your path, you will find yourself kind of being dragged back onto your path by the universe, much like a Lakitu in Mario Kart, for those of you who have played video games. Anyway, the trick is learning to understand what is happening in either case. So I can hear it all right now. So how am I supposed to do that? How do we do that? How do we figure out if we're on our path or not? How do we figure out what road is most appropriate for us? Well, you know what? I'm so glad you asked me that, Julie. First, you must be in the moment and paying attention to the signals and signs that your own soul, spirit, and guides are giving you. Pay attention to the signposts along the way. They will give you road signs to help you, to let you know. Meditate. Sit and focus on where you feel your life path is leading you. Talk to your guides. Ask them to give you specific signs to help you understand which is the best direction for you, and for you, and for you, and for you, and for me. Now remember, when you are asking your guides for help, their job is to be your guide, not to live your life for you. It is not their job to get in and chauffeur you to your destination where you don't have to make any decisions. They're not going to tell you what to do. They'll offer the suggestions and let you decide which path is right for you. Why can't they just tell us what to do? Well, as I said earlier, gentle passengers, there'd be no learning in it. And this is all about learning and growth and evolving and becoming a better, stronger, happier person through being here and experiencing life. It's good to have a plan in place for where, a roadmap, if you will, of where you want to head next with your life. However, don't get caught up in destination fixation. What's that? Don't let yourself get so caught up in where you want to go that you forget to look around at where you are. I see so many people lately who have been running into this. Not only will you find that your journey through life becomes much more interesting and enjoyable if you look around and just kind of sometimes pull over the side of the road and smell the roses, but you'll find that there are a lot of other signposts along the way that will help you to find that best direction for you, just like I spoke about a minute ago. The key is to be paying attention. And try not to be too hard on yourself if you feel like you've made more than your fair share of wrong turns on your road of life. After all, we really do go through and review our lives when we make our glorious return to spirit. So you may as well give yourself something interesting to watch, right? When you go through and review your life, give yourself something fun, give yourself an adventure, give yourself something exciting so that you can say, I've lived a life. And that's exactly how I want you to think of it. Go out there, live your life, do your best, Be the best person that you can possibly be. And remember, as you travel through this week on your own unique path, that you are learning and growing. Also remember that you are not alone on this path. You do have people with you. There are people who are with you every step of the way on this road of life. Let those loved ones, both here and in spirit, help you to be your companions on your path. Let your guides be your companions as well. Let them help you, and trust that whatever off-ramp in life that you take, it will lead you to just where you need to be. After all, I mean, as we talk about with Spiritualist principle number 8, every day is a new beginning. So we always have a choice in the matter. As you go forth this week and begin to be more mindful of your own life path, think to where you want your destination to be, but don't forget to stop for those fun roadside attractions that are out there. Wishing you all a wonderfully joyful and exciting road trip through life. And I cannot wait to see you here in person very soon. Thank you.